All right, we ready now? All right, so my name is Daniel Rasmussen Murphy, and today I'm going to talk about Donald Trump. All right, so the biggest thing I want to talk about Donald Trump is I don't think he's a valid candidate for the presidency, or definitely not the Republican Party. The biggest things I want to talk about is his immigration plan, his no filter in the way he talks, and his lack of political experience. So I started the slide off with Donald Trump's political experience equals 0. Donald Trump has never served in political office. He has no political experience at all. What Donald Trump has done in his lifetime is work for The Apprentice, a reality TV show, and he's owned his own companies. Donald Trump has sent 4 companies into bankruptcy, and in The Apprentice, all he does is just fire people until he finds one apprentice in which he pays $250,000 to work for him. So he really has no political experience. And also, in the second Republican debate, Donald Trump was talked about by Jeb Bush about how he took 4 companies into bankruptcy. And he said at the time that no, he had actually never taken a company into bankruptcy, which was a lie, and he even admits to going into bankruptcy in his own book, How to Get Rich, in which he wrote in 2004. So political experience continued. So the big question about Donald is his lack of experience in political office, which begs the question, how can he make a real decision from his advisors if he has no experience doing it? So obviously he's going to have his advisors, the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, and everything. And that's going to be, they're going to be really helpful in helping him make decisions, but how can he make a decision if he's no experience actually having to make those decisions? So I thought that was a really big question to bring up, because how can he make decisions on stuff he's never done in his life before? He's never, had the ability or been in this position to make executive decisions for political office. So I thought that was a really big point to bring up. And because of his lack of experience and everything will be new to him, it's really a good idea to have somebody who's just going to take his advisor's word-for-word decisions and make those decisions without really knowing anything about the subject or really having any experience in making those decisions. So that was the big thing I wanted to bring up. The next thing is Donald Trump has no filter. He says exactly what's on his mind, and a lot of times that's actually hurting him. A lot of Americans think it's really great that he comes out and says exactly what's on his mind and talks exactly about what America wants to hear, but in reality, it does really hurt him, and it's not a great thing to talk about. In 2004, bringing up Donald Trump's book again, he talked about how he went into bankruptcy and how that's actually really great for his business, but America really can't handle going into bankruptcy. As right now, the national debt sits at $17 trillion, and it's only going up. And if this company goes into bankruptcy, then we will default on our loans to China, and that will create a lot of really big problems with the American economy, and it could end up killing the American economy and sending us into another depression. So his ability to be honest with America is a real big problem. He lied and had zero trouble lying on national television to all of America about going into bankruptcy. He's taken multiple shots. In an article from the New York Times, he's taken multiple shots at his own political party for saying that they are ruining him and that they're trying to make sure that he will not ever get into office. But in reality, the Republican Party is just trying to put out the best candidate, to support them in the presidential race. And if that's him or if that isn't him is really not up to him. But his lack of experience makes it seem as though, they're going against him when in reality he just doesn't understand the system in which picking a Republican candidate. And not to mention, Donald Trump has also been a part of multiple parties. He's been a part of the Democratic and Republican Party on 3 or more times. He's switched over to the other one. So he's never really stood on one side. And the last part I want to talk about is his immigration plan. Donald Trump has had a very radical immigration plan in which he wants to kick out every illegal immigrant from the U.S., which could be a good idea, but I don't think it's a great idea. And he also wants to build a wall in which he claims will keep all the Mexicans out who just come over here to create horrific crimes. The immigration plan has Trump building a $4.2 billion wall that's on Donald Trump's website. And that $4.2 billion is also the same amount that he says that Mexicans cost the U.S. nation on average every year. So according to Trump, their Mexican immigrants are just coming over here and committing horrific crimes, and they're killing and raping and doing all these terrible things. But on his website, he actually has no citations or no proof of where he's getting this information, so we honestly have no idea how much of it's true. because he just makes all these claims but doesn't actually talk about where they come from. And although these claims, could be true, there's really no proof of, where they came from or so. In conclusion, I want to talk about how Trump has made some really interesting claims towards what he wants to do for America. But in reality, how much will he be able to accomplish? We really don't know, because he has no political experience, so how serious will Congress take him or any of his advisors? Because they'll feel like they can just run all over him and tell him whatever they want. He's got a loud mouth, and he's no problem. He's obviously proved lying to America, as he lied about taking his companies into bankruptcy, and he's lied about his political views as he switched parties multiple times to fit whatever political view he thinks will get him wherever he wants to go. And the immigration plan is honestly unreasonable. A $4.2 billion wall is not something the Mexican people are going to be able to pay for. The government in Mexico is struggling right now with their economics, so there's almost no chance for a $4.2 billion wall to be created in any time Donald Trump is in office, especially if he only has 4 years to get it done. And he's never really served in office, so does he really understand what he'd be walking into? And to be honest, I really don't think he does. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes into political office, and especially being president, that Donald Trump just does not understand. And so I really just don't think he's a valid candidate for the presidency. And that's the end of my speech and my PowerPoint.
Rock, dude. That was